Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Just Curious Reacts. Today we have a really special video because we're going to be looking at our first reaction to a political video or political genre video. But the reason for this you'll get to know as we go through the video. The person that we are going to listen to today is Vivek Ramaswamy. Now when you hear this name you must be thinking, that's some South Indian guy. Guess what? He's actually running to be the US president in the 2024 elections on the Republican side. So we're going to be reacting to a video of his, In God We Trust, Vivek talking about faith with NH. So we'll be reacting to this video. Let's get right to it.
Forgive me if this is too personal, but
it is not,
okay,
whatever it is.
That's why you're here. Do you have any spiritual beliefs, and if so, what are they?
Yes, I do. I believe, so I was raised as a Hindu. I'm a practicing Hindu today. I'm just going to call, a good chance for you to meet a Purva. I should put it on the spot a little bit, but this is something that's very important to our family and the way we raise our kids. We're Hindu. I was raised in a Hindu household. I went to Catholic schools. We're all very studious, and so I ended up studying. I graduated at the top of my class, but that included 4 years of religion, so I read the Bible more closely than probably most of my classmates did. I got the religion award. I think I probably wouldn't have done that if I'd gone to a Hindu school, though.
This is one thing about, Indians or those who have Indian backgrounds living, outside of India. So he was born in America, but his parents are from Kerala. And, generally whenever my immigrants go to, places like America or Europe or Canada, they tend to be very ambitious when it comes to their education and all these other areas. So just as he explains, top of the class, aiming to be, the perfectionist, be very good at school, etc., including interfaith studies like studying Christianity, the Bible, etc. He went to a Christian school. That's something both myself and Vivek have in common. Okay, let's get back to the video.
I wouldn't have gotten that if I'd gone to a Hindu school, though, because then you just roll your eyes a little bit, right? Because, if you're just getting what your parents taught you, that's what this was true for the other kids at the Catholic high school, is okay, they had been getting this 1st through 8th grade. Whereas for me, it was fresh. It was different. It was something that actually meant something to me. And so I'm on the board of St. X High School. Actually, until I launched this presidential race 2 months ago, I was on the board of St. X High School. My belief is that there is a true God. That there is something higher, that God resides within each of us. So in the Catholic tradition, I think broadly in the Christian tradition, the way we learned it was we are equal in the eyes of God, and so we are equal in the eyes of each other because we're made in the image of God. The way we say it and teach it to our kids and the way our parents taught it to us is that we are all equal in the eyes of each other because we're equal in the eyes of God, because God resides in each of us. So we say it in a slightly different way, but the point's the same, right? The punchline's the same.
This is a really beautiful way in which he expresses, It's easy for us to find ways to divide and discriminate and say, my religion is different from your religion, Christianity is different from Hinduism in this way and that way. But how to find an underlying thread that connects, two different religious ideologies, philosophies. He beautifully expresses it, The concept of, God is there in all of us, expressing in all of us, and that is what unites us. That is where our equality and our universal embracing, that relationship arrives only at that point from the standpoint of God residing in all of us. From a Hindu perspective, from the Christian perspective, that of all men are made in the image of the Lord. Again, trying to find ways to unify instead of divide. Very beautiful how he describes it.
And I think that's a big part of what we're missing is, it's what matters in America today amongst people who are true believers in a one true God. It's not the differences in the way you describe that God that is actually the divisions that divide us. It's not even like it might have once been between those who are truly secular, like real deep philosophers like Immanuel Kant, right? And somebody who was St. Thomas Aquinas, right? Who actually get to similar places. But Kant is fiercely secular, and Aquinas probably made a greater contribution to the Enlightenment that then formed the backdrop of this Judeo-Christian founding of this country. But they were saying the same things, but one is religious, but through a secularist. It's not even between religious and secularism. It's between the actual religious foundation of this country and the rise of new religions that fail to admit that they're religions. Right? That's actually the real breaking point in this country. Wokeism, climatism, transgenderism, gender ideology, COVIDism. These are cult-like religions. I call them more like cults because at least religions like ours have withstood the test of time.
Did you guys hear the new religions? COVIDism, transgenderism. All these fanatical ideas that people become so devoted to, just like any other religion.
These have not. They're fleeting religions. They're cults. But I think that's actually the moment today where it's the moment for people of faith, people who believe in a true God, live their lives in accordance with that belief and act on those convictions. That's what's missing in our culture. And I think that that's a precondition for our national revival. Our two sons are still in nap time here, but Purva, this is a very important period in their lives. So one of the things we talked about is can't preach about fatherlessness and then not be present, even if I am running for president. So we're traveling as a family to do that together, but it was also a period in our lives where there are periods where last 2 years, I've worn one hat. Next couple of years, Apurva was prepared to say, okay, in raising our kids, this is for our 3-year-old son, a pivotal period. How are we going to impart those values to him? And, I don't know if you wanted to say a few words about what faith means to us as a family.
Yeah, well, first of all, I wanted to thank you all for coming on your Sunday to hear my husband.
Generally, you'll find in Indian homes, the foundation of, the cultural and moral values of the tradition of the religion is sustained and maintained by the mother of the household. I'm sure that also for, Mrs. Ramaswamy, Apurva, she also has, such a strong role to play in the religious upbringing and moral upbringing of their two sons.
I mean, I've heard from him for a long time, but it's really honestly a blessing and a miracle to me that all of you would give your time to listen to what he has to say. Because I think he's saying some things that are true, but I appreciate you coming to hear it. So a little bit about how we think about God and at least how it plays into our lives. So Vivek told you a little bit, he was a nerdy kid. I was also a nerdy kid. We both met at Yale when I was in med school. He was in law school. And I don't know about you guys, but when I was in high school and college, or at least I know a lot of other people going in that age, they don't know if God exists. I went to a lot of people who thought that they were too smart for God, that God, and they're not going to be. I'm not a chump. I know science. I know biology. I know physics. There's no God in there, and I think I was a lot of that in my life when I.
And by the way, she is a medical professional as well, and she's not just a stay-at-home mom. She is a medical trained professional. And it's interesting if you come across any of the videos of Vivek Ramaswamy, and now, of course, his wife also speaking here, there's a quality in them which I really admire and respect, and that is brutal honesty. Imagine they are speaking to a platform. The actual speech where they are giving is at a function where it's about religion and conservative religious values, Christian values. And in such a place to say that, hey, at one point in my life, I didn't really believe in God. But to be so blunt and brutal with, honesty, it's something that I really admire, really respect. And it's one of the rare qualities that you see in modern day politicians and political life.
I was younger. But that was just those, 8 years when I was in that time of my life. Before that, my parents, my mom, my dad, they raised us with God. Every day, my dad and my mom wake up, they pray. Every night when my dad comes home, he's also a surgeon, he comes home and prays and thanks God for allowing him to help people. And that's how I grew up. And what helped me find God was a journey. First part was meeting this person here, and then having children, and having my job, and seeing all of the ways that I feel like there's a power taking care of me. No matter how smart I am, no matter how good at whatever I do I can be, I cannot do it alone. Someone, somewhere is taking care of us, of all of us. And yes, there are terrible things happening in the world, but what I tell my son when I put him down at bed at night is, because he tells us he's 3 years old, and he'll do anything to delay bedtime. And so what he does, because he knows it works, he'll tell us with tears in his eyes, "You're going to leave me all, and I'm going to be all alone." And what do you do to your 3-year-old when he says that? And so I tell him, "You know what, hon? You are never alone, because God is with you. Your dad and I are downstairs, so first of all, don't worry. We're just downstairs. But God is with you. You're strong, you are loved, and you can go to sleep because you know you're safe." And honestly, the world is a big place. And without God, that is scary. It is scary. So thank you. Thank you to God for bringing all of you here. We don't know where this journey is going to lead, but we really appreciate you coming and caring so much about America. Thank you so much.
Imagine in a Christian conservative audience to express your views on religion in such a manner that doesn't, as I mentioned earlier, doesn't create as though a strong divide. It seems like they are speaking the language of, conservative Christians, but expressing the same values which, they represent in their own tradition as Hindus. That's the power of speech, power of language, actually. Though we have names, Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, these are words only, but the values that unite us, that can bridge the divide, that can be bridged through our words, through our speech.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And, it's funny. I mean, when we put him to bed at night, when Apurva tells him that part of it, usually he's running around helter-skelter, where's my 6th teddy bear before I go to bed, etc. But he dials into that part. He knows she's telling him something important, something that he doesn't know. I don't know how he thinks about God. He's 3 years old, but he knows it's something different than what the runaround of his day was. And there's something about that tells me about even the moment we had this morning, right? So we went to church this morning, and they were kind enough to welcome us and give me an opportunity to say a few words to the congregation. But we spent 2 hours there, and for me, that was a moment to collect myself in the middle of this campaign trail and remember that there is a God that actually matters beyond what sometimes in our modern American life can just feel like the aimless passage of time. Right? There's more to life than the random passage of time. There's more to life than, our next meal or our next complaint or whatever. We're here for a reason. And I think that's part of what gives us this sense of purpose, making the most of this short time we have been given, that God has given us on this great earth, created by God. We better, by God, make the best use of it we can. And if we have been so blessed in the short time, I'm 37 years old, Apurva's 33, here we are, having lived the full blessings that God gave us and this country gave us, then in the short time we have left, that's part of what gives us this calling to want to give back in the way we know how. And as ludicrous as it sounds, the thing we concluded was that was actually going to be by leading the country as the next U.S. president. But I don't think when I look at the country and look at the leadership vacuum, it doesn't seem so ludicrous after that. We each have to just look ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves how we're each going to do our part.
And that's, again, motivated or inspired by his values. He sees his purpose in life being that of service, that of serving society, serving mankind. And again, that is connected to not only Hinduism, but every religion, every faith. Vivek Ramaswamy. If you guys are interested in checking out more of his content, you just go on YouTube, type Vivek Ramaswamy. You'll be seeing he's trending right now in the Republican polls. And if you are interested in knowing more about what he has to say with regards to American policy, etc., then you check him out on YouTube. From our standpoint here at Just Curious Reacts, we are just trying to, bring out to others that how religion need not divide us, how concepts and beliefs that we have need not divide us, but it can also unite us. If you enjoyed this video, then do give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Comment below if you have anything you want to share about Vivek Ramaswamy and what he shared in this video. Until next time, stay curious.